Hey, good evening. Good evening. I am doing this video as a response to Sister Ruby suggestion. I agree. I think it would be a great series if we did a series on saved and single. I think I mentioned it some videos back that I'm thinking about doing a series, and that's what I really wanted to do the series about. And then I thought about it. I was like, well, it's such a small population of people who are really, really saved and people who are single. And so that's like a small fraction of people. So I was like, well, maybe that wouldn't be as interesting, for listeners, viewers, participants when we're talking about being saved and single. So I kind of abandoned the idea and then I just resigned to, I'll just share some of my experiences and how this is going and what they think about it. And after I read your comment, I was like, that is a good point that a lot of people don't know what it's like dating if you've been married or dating and you're over, I would say 35, or dating and you're divorced. Like a lot of people don't realize how different that look for our population. They really don't know because it's not openly discussed. And not only that, we can what they're presenting on the internet as far as submission, ideal relationships, realistic expectations it's a little distorted. I think that's the best way to describe it because they're taking things out of context and they're using them at improper times and for improper reasons, and the main one is, talking about the woman's supposed to submit to the man and the man. Uh, the Bible said for women to submit to their husbands, not their boyfriend, not someone they're dating. It says wives submit to your own husband, not somebody else's husband, your husband, right? And so you're seeing a lot of men walking around with a barrel chest about, I'm the man, you're supposed to submit to me. Serve me. Like, if you don't get your goofy self out of my face, honey, I read that book you trying to play with, okay? So, and I believe that book you're trying to use to get in somebody's britches. You can roll out like Autobots, honey. I am not one or two, dear. Mm-mm. And so their idea of submission is more servitude than it is actual submission because they don't understand that the man he's always in a position of sacrifice. Sacrifice. His love is sacrificial for his wife. He should be willing to sacrifice for her and put it all on the line for her, right? He's supposed to be willing to lose his life to defend her, protect her. And they don't want to talk about that part of things. And so what I'm getting to is that a lot of this online advice, it isn't applicable to people in my age group, people who share similar experiences uh, to us, as us. They will laugh you out of their face, like they will laugh at you. If you trying to use this internet stuff, you know, and I just feel like I can't say that the people I've ran into have the Kevin Samuels syndrome or the red pill syndrome or passport bros syndrome. They're already very sure of themselves. I can say that they've always been sure and confident of who they are because they've been that way their entire life, just extremely strong, dominant personalities, but not in a manner to be brash, rude, or abusive, of their strength and their strong personalities. That's just not it. But you can just tell by the way they conduct themselves and live their lives that they have very strong personalities. And that's a good thing for me. I love that's my thing. I love very strong personalities that work for me, but for some people, it don't work for them. But that's my thing. The other thing is that I think when younger people are dating 35 and under, they have that, they still have the fairy tale in their head. I'm serious. They're not too far removed from Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Tiana, anyone you can think of, right? That they still have what I call the princess syndrome, right? And so they're waiting for someone to cater to them, and I'm just spoiled. I don't do that. He do everything for me, and I just lay on a chase lounge. It's just soft living, darling. Well, I mean, if a man really he's the king of his castle, then he understand that we are not just him. We are royalty. You understand? So we both, you know, provide things to the kingdom that make sure it flourish, it thrives. We're doing it together, right? I'm not a child. I'm not an invalid. Um, I'm not incompetent. I know how to conduct myself in my life and my affairs. So yeah, it's one thing if it's like, you know what, you've been nonstop for the past 2 weeks. I I need to steal you for about 48 hours. You just need a reset. And I've put this, and this in place. And this is where we're going. And this you don't have to worry about. That works for me. Instead of me saying, "Oh, I got my own life, I got stuff to do. You're gonna have to plan it for another day. You should ask my permission. You didn't ask me if I needed a break. You should have talked to me to find out if I need a break. Who tells you to tell me when I can take a break?" No, no. I understand that's someone that care enough about me that they understand I need to step away because I don't know how to. So it's different. Not only that, we don't, women in our age group will laugh at someone like, you need to cook, you need to clean, you need to keep the house in order. That's laughable to us. Why? That's basic. We're not living in filth, right? So I'm not gonna decide to be clean for some men. I'm already clean. I love a clean house. I love it. I love smell goods. We all like to be clean. Why would you ask somebody who can you clean? Well, even if she didn't know how to clean, I'm pretty sure she can pay someone come in there and clean. Right or wrong. Okay. And so I think our expectations are different. You know, we're not in this fantasy idyllic princess syndrome. We're adults and we understand each other's lives and needs on a different level than young people. And it's harder for people who are saved in divorce because I got to add this little caveat in here. Some Christian men would not date you if you've been married. I'm serious. They will not marry you if you've been married and you didn't get divorced because of infidelity or abuse. If it wasn't for one of those reasons, they're not going to date you. They're not going to deal with you at all because they are sticking to the Bible to the letter. If you've abused your wife, if you've cheated on your wife, then they'll date you. But if that's not the case, they still consider you to be married. I don't know if you all know that or not, but they do. Um, we're not expecting, just run of the mill work, come home. No, we have freedom. When we're at my age group and your age group, Ruby, we have a different type of freedom that young people may not have um, because they have smaller kids. They have more that kind of draws them to the house in particular. So, no, they're not on a Wednesday or Thursday be like, you know what, let's go to the movies. I saw that, this new whoever movie came out. Let's go to the movies. Okay, when I get off, then you want me to come to the house or you want to meet me at the movie? I'll meet you at the movie theater. Okay. Well, and then I might choose where we're having dinner at or whatever. That's what it looked like for us. It's we have freedom. We really don't have a whole lot tying us to the house. We can go when we want to. We can do what we want to. We're gonna stay out all night. We can, but at the same time, I may not even want to cook every night. Um, but still, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be willing to cook. It's just you really shouldn't be expecting me to do 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. I've done that, and that include dessert too, and I'm not doing that anymore. That's another thing too, Ruby. I don't know if you've experienced this. Let me know, Ruby, that if you've been married, I'm seeing this a lot too. They're expecting me to be the way that I was previously, the way I was when I was married. So I'm thinking, I could be wrong, that they're thinking, well, she was going 95 miles an hour about, this guy. Yeah, I definitely need somebody gonna do the same thing for me. I'm not. Like, that person doesn't exist anymore, and she didn't leave a forwarding address, so I can't even tell you where to find her at. She doesn't exist anymore. She just doesn't. I'm still me, but as far as being that way, I'll never be that way again. Never. Uh-uh. So that's that. That's not a bad thing. That's not a slight or anything. It's just they have to understand the reality of what we look for after having extensive long-term relationships. It's going to be different. But I think then again too, it could be because believe it or not, I've met a lot of them, they've never been married. Never been married. Uh-uh. They have children. They've lived with women, but they never married them, which I don't know. Should we count that as a bad thing? That's another good question for the conversation. Should that be frowned upon? If a guy was living with a woman 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, whatever years, but they never committed to her. They never married her. Never. So should we look at that as a bad thing or just see it the way it is? Because for some women, that would be a great panel discussion also. Some women, they have the whole thing in their head and it's not based on what that man said. That man said we together. At no time do a lot of these guys actually say, you're going to be my wife. I want to marry you. This is the time frame we're going to live together. And at the end of this time frame, I will know for without a shadow of a doubt, we're getting married, right? They don't do that. It's open ended. And then women be like, well, he was doing this, this, and this. So I thought that's what you get for thinking. He never told you anything different. Never. He never showed you anything different. What I mean by that is he's showing you I have no problem wasting your time, being treated like a husband, as long as you let me do it and you're not my wife. And I think women sometimes the reality of the relationship just be in their head. I could be wrong about that. And they don't understand after a while you're trying to push onto him the relationship you have on in your head. That's not what he said. That's not what he wanted. That's not what he was trying to solidify. That wasn't even on his mind at the time. I don't know. I think that would be a great conversation because you will know a man by his word. You get what I'm saying? A man of his word. You have to pay attention to what this joke is saying. Because if he ain't saying nothing about marriage, if he not saying anything like, um, in the next 12 months, we need to really be working on paying off this, this, and this, and this, because I want us to have the wedding that we want, or I want us to buy the house that we wanted, or um, something, dealing with really solidifying you all as a married couple or a couple. He's not saying any of that. He's it's just open ended. There isn't any time frame or anything. You just heard we're gonna be together. That's all they heard. And he isn't presenting because men are planners and women don't realize that. They'll be like, no, the women got to put everything together. Women are more. That's a lie. That's a lie. You're not following his lead. He's showing you that it's just open ended and your time is at his disposal. Disposal, excuse me. That's what he's showing you. He's made that very clear, right? But if a man comes to you and say, he already knows his salary, he already knows the trajectory for his profession, he already knows what his retirement looks like, he already knows how much his benefits cost, he already know how much his bills cost, right? For him as an individual, he also knows what he's contributing to that house, right? And he's not having a real conversation with you to the effect of, um, you know, at the end of this year, and like New Year's Eve, he telling you this is the resolution. At the end of this year, I want us to have A, B, C, D paid off, right? If he isn't thinking or speaking that way, honey, you you wasting your time. And then they end up frustrated, like, I spent all that time, he ain't even married me. You did it. You you let him do it. You get what I'm saying? And that's the thing that I don't think a lot of women understand, that they played along with it. They wasn't paying attention to what conversations were not happening, what things didn't occur, what things he didn't say it, and they just made it up in their head. And that's sad, but that's what you get when you're trying to put the cart before the horse. It ain't gonna work. No, because his brain telling him she really don't want to be a wife. She just want to shack. That's it. And if we can, they like, well, we live together like we married. No, you live together like a woman who's desperate to have a man in the house. You live like a woman who did not have a standard of, I'm not doing that for nobody if you ain't my husband. I'm not doing that. That don't mean I don't like you. I don't care about you. That's not what it means. What it means is I'm not putting the cart before the horse. I just, I don't know. Ruby, I think it would be a great series. How do I guess I gotta ask. I think I would just have to go out and, round up some singles, and we all have a little powwow on this channel one night about being saved and single. Um, and I want people to be transparent. I want people to be forthcoming. I want people to be genuine about what dating is like for them. If they're warring with their flesh, we'll talk about it. If you're dealing with emotional um, baggage or spiritual baggage, if you feel like areas you need to grow in or discuss things that are hindering for you, those are the things I'm most comfortable with people discussing, even if it's discussing the trial era, zenith pits, dark lights of your former relationships. I just feel like those experiences people can learn from them as well. Not just the pros of it, but also the cons of it. I'll tell anyone. After my experiences, hold on one second. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, y'all. But, what I was about to tell you, I forgot just that fast. I'm sorry. I got distracted by a text message. But I just feel like, people can learn from the highs and lows of your relationship and what those valley moments look like, you know, and not just dwell in them, but what did you learn from that? And that's what I was about to say. After being married many, many, many years, I have come to the realization that it is not wise to get married before you're 25. That's not wise at all. Um, I think we should have waited because we were extremely young when we got married. Like, I'm not kidding you. We were barely able to buy alcohol. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. Like, we were extremely young, extremely young. And now looking at it, I'm like, yeah, that we were too entirely young to assume such a real real commitment on that level. But then I have to remember, uh, I was raised to be a wife. I was parented literally to be a wife since I've been able to remember. That was always placed in front of me. You're going to be a wife one day. I mean, every little thing, you're going to be a wife one day. Ironing clothes, you're going to be a wife one day. Cooking food, you're going to be a wife one day. Cleaning the house, you're going to be a wife one day. How you dress, you're going to be a wife one day. How you sit, you're going to be a wife one day. So everything about my identity just growing as a young lady and everything, it was always about you're going to be a wife one day. You're going to And I didn't realize the impact of that until I came on the other side of this, that it literally shaped my entire trajectory for my life. And when I started kind of um, coming into, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that right now. But it was a situation of recognizing that I'm spiritually, physically, financially, emotionally unevenly yoked. And there was nothing more crushing than dealing with someone who just really, really had a problem with your light and they don't have it. And it get bad. But at first you don't notice it. You really don't. Because you're going 1,000 miles an hour, 100% about them at all times. No matter what you're doing, you have been raised that that's first, foremost, and to be protected at all times. So coming into your own passions, the things that really deeply connect and resonate with you, that God has gifted you to do, and it takes you into spaces and places that only God could permit. It's not a good thing when a person are uh, intimidated or start feeling insecure because it's not about them and they have a problem with that, and then they'll start acting out. I'm not kidding you. They will they'll start acting out. But after dealing with that, I don't think it's a good idea for anyone to expect me to be that same way again. Uh, no, not it. Like they playing tag, not it. I don't know. I would love to do this series. I thought about it before, and I was like, I don't know. I want to do a series, but I don't know. But that's the series I was talking about. Look, would it be like being saved, single, or divorcee? Um, and just the different avenues of it, and really just having a real deep dive about it, the impact of your parentage, the pros and cons of your family's love life and relationships and marriages, co-parenting, and how that impact your identity as a wife or husband, the church impact on your expectations and beliefs about relationships and marriage, your gender impact on your perception of your identity as a wife or a husband, the impact of socioeconomic demographics and the impact it has on your identity as a wife or a husband. So all of these little nuances all play a really serious role um, in the type of marriage and relationship that you have. And it's all part of yeah, all of it is part of who you are, and the parts of life that are connected to you, the expectations of your profession, what they expect for you because of your profession, what kind of wife or husband you're supposed to be. And for some people, that's a real thing, depending on what kind of profession you have. Yeah. Some professions, no, she can't show up with no 12-inch nails on her hand. She can't show up smacking gum. She can't show up with My Little Pony hair. She cannot show up with half of her butt cheeks hanging out. She cannot show up, um, you know, twerking and carrying on. That wouldn't work as a suitable wife. You get what I'm saying? That's not gonna work because of their spouse's profession. You can't bring that into those spaces. So even your profession, educational background, all of these things have an impact on your belief of what you should be and how you should be as a mate, as a husband, as a wife. So I think that would be a good combo. But I think now I gotta go round up some single people. Ruby, you round up some single people, and then we just round them all up, and we just have a really good panel. Like that would be a good panel. Get us some clergy on here, and then child, they probably don't want to have this conversation because they like, I don't, not it. I ain't getting up there with them jokers. Uh-uh. Like, really, really, really have the conversation. Hold on, y'all. Um, what time is it? 6:30? So, um, hold on. Okay, okay. All right, I'm about to hop off, y'all. I need to go ahead and make a call. I will talk with you soon. Can't wait to read your comments. Have an awesome night, you guys. I'll get up in the morning and read your comments then. Sorry for being a chatty cat. Y'all have a good one. Bye.